Hello, folks. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. I hope you know me by now. Today we have what looks like a small problem, but is it a small problem? I mean, love jihad. Now we've heard a lot about it in recent times, but it's a small part of a very big, not just assault, but war against anything which is not Muslim or Islamic. This is something we have to wrap our heads around and understand completely. And where did it begin? Well, the first time I heard the term love jihad was in a book. It was, I think, Who Painted My Money White? By Sri Iyer. It was funny in its own way, and yet, if you look at it seriously, the meaning comes through. Love jihad was planned, and where was it planned and where were the beginnings? In Kerala. You see, it had been going on in bits and pieces all over India, but this is the first time it came out in a planned way. It was encouraged and planned out by the clerics and Muslim organizations. We must understand one thing about Kerala and Kerala Muslims. Their intense hatred for Hindus is something which seems to have slipped under the radar. And it isn't new, it goes back to just over a century that we know of. How many people, for instance, have heard of the Mopla massacres of 1921? About 20 or 30,000 Hindus were murdered, literally slaughtered. 60 or 70,000 were forcefully converted to Islam. Do we hear about that? No, because the powers that be then, like Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru, subdued it, or suppressed it, and made sure it never came out. It's like the Kashmir files. What happened in Kashmir was also suppressed so horribly that we in Delhi never heard of it. So this anti-Hindu flavor has been a part of Kerala culture for a long time. In fact, at independence, Kerala, or Travancore Cochin as it was then, did not want to be a part of India. They wanted to be Pakistan. And unfortunately, they're trying to convert the rest of India into an Islamic country. Now, what is love jihad? What does it mean? It means that Muslim boys are trained from an early age in how to wine and dine non-Muslim girls, seduce them, induce them into their fold, get to be very, very close, so close as to be almost their mistresses, if not their wives. And then either force them to convert to Islam to marry them, or they just get discarded. Now, we seem to think, no, it doesn't happen. Unfortunately, it does. And this seems to be an important part of their assault or war on Hinduism. Why? Well, let's put it this way. It's a calculated one. Why? How does the population of any community either remain static or increase over the years? It doesn't depend on the number of menfolk in that community, but on the number of women or girls. You see, 100 men and 1 woman will only increase the population by 1. 2 men and 100 women, you have a good chance of having 100 children, one way or another. So you see, the more girls and women enticed away from Hinduism into Islam or something else, the fewer for them to produce children on the other side. Which means, for every 1 girl that is induced or forced into Islam, 1 on the other side one Hindu or Christian will not have a family. So it's a gain of two. Just like in a legislative assembly. If you have 100 seats in there, 50-50 is a tie. But if one switches sides, it becomes 49-51, which means a gain of two. Similar conditions apply here. That if one Hindu or non-Muslim girl is enticed into Islam, it's a gain of two. Now, these people, these boys, are given motorcycles, they're given petrol and oil expenses, they were given up to 50,000 a month just to entice these girls into their folds for this purpose. And of course, once she gets involved with this man, she's an outcast for her own community because nobody's going to touch her there. So where does she go after that? If she doesn't want to become an Islamic person, she's just left there to rot. So what else does she do then? What brought all this to light is this recent case, this Aftab Poonawalla and Shraddha Walkar. I mean, how does a monster like this come into being? How did it start? The same way. Once this girl is in his power, she wants to marry him, but he's not interested. He wants to throw her out and start off with somebody else, which eventually he did. Not only did he wine and dine her, he probably seduced her as well, and then he killed her, cut her into little pieces, and from what we hear according to the news channels, put her in the refrigerator, pieces of her, and while they were still there, he was dating another girl. I mean, a guy has to be really either sick or mentally deranged for that, or so cold-blooded that one shudders to think that such people actually walk among us, and we don't know about it. Anyway, the fact is, why do they behave like this? Now, perhaps a video from Mr. Tariq Fateh may provide an answer to this. He said, young Muslim children, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, are brought up this way. How a goat is brought into the family, a very loved pet. Everybody loves it, showers of affection and everything. A year later, they say, okay, now come and watch. That goat is made to suffer and is slaughtered, cut into little pieces and distributed among friends. Now, you see the connection? Now, he has grown up with this attitude that you get something, you love it, you play with it and so on, and then you kill it. Isn't this exactly what he did with Shraddha Walkar? He played around with her, loved her, everything. Then he tortured her by putting out cigarette butts on her. Killed her, cut her into little pieces, and threw her out all over the place. So it's not just the person, but his upbringing and his parents who are to blame. However, where is this love jihad coming from and why? A, it is to increase Muslim population. B, it is to decrease Hindu and Christian or other populations. And to create a big divide, which is what they're doing. And then they're blaming Hindus for it, which seems to be standard false flag procedure. The West has been doing it for years and they seem to have caught on. You see places like Leicester in the US. Hindus are being targeted by first being demonized. Oh, they're rotten, they're gangsters. When all evidence points to them being the gangsters. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard this, but I had a couple of friends from the UK. In parts of East Yorkshire, in certain cities or towns, gangs of Muslim youth used to wander around the streets looking for either single or 2 or 3 girls together. If they found them, they raped them. And the police wouldn't even register FIRs because they were afraid of being branded as being racist. And in that same country, Hindus are being targeted as being gangsters? I mean, does this make sense? It doesn't to me. Now, not only is something like this, it's not a small thing anymore, because it happens all over the place. Now, it's unbelievable, but adverts appear where Muslim youth are taught, here's one way of making money. How? The advert says, a Muslim boy, if he marries a Sikh a Sikh girl, he gets 6 lakhs. That is 600,000 rupees. If he marries a Hindu Brahmin, a Gujarati Brahmin, he gets 500,000 rupees. If he marries a Southern Indian Brahmin, it will be 450,000 rupees. There is a grade for every type. For a Roman Catholic, it's 1.5 lakhs, which is 150,000 rupees. For a Protestant, it's only 100,000 rupees. How they work these grades out, I don't know. But these are the awards given. In addition to the 50,000 a month for wining and dining them, just to lure them away. I mean, basically, this is what love jihad means. Now, what can we do about it? Well, first, look after our children. Get out of the rat race of making money all the time. It happens because parents have no time for their children. Plus, the moment you get girls in particular with mobiles, oh boy, where do you go from there? You see, all your WhatsApp groups, your Instagram, your Twitter, your what's the other one? Facebook. This is where they come in contact with one another. They get to know each other, and things move on from there. And now you understand what happens. Now, where does all this money come from to provide all these inducements to Muslim youth? Well, Kerala has a pretty good network. One of the big ways used to be the fake Indian currency note racket. The thing which caused demonetization, if you remember, a few years ago. I think 2016 that was. Because a lot of fake currency notes, 2 container loads were caught, which is 5 billion rupees in each one, or 5,000 crores. And intelligence reports said there were another 100 of these in Gulf ports and in Pakistani ports waiting to be shipped here. Now, if that had come through, obviously our economy would have been in tatters. Hence, demonetization. Yes, it was done in a hurry. But was there any alternative? No. And what made the matter worse was, if you read that book, during the time of the UPA government, 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, Indian currency notes, were printed in Germany. And would you believe it? In the same company, on the same premises, where Pakistan had its currency notes printed. Now, if this book is to be believed, one of the old printing machines, currency printing machines, was purchased in, and it's still in India somewhere. And it is possible that is being used. And Pakistan may be blamed. So it's somebody inside this country doing it. Now, if you understand this, you understand where a lot of this money comes from. Fake currency notes were great. Why? You remember the old cycle or car tire puncture repair man on the roadside. The guy in his lungi and a torn vest. Suddenly he gets a tap on the shoulder and says, look, here's 5 crores, which is 50 million rupees. Deposit it in your name in this bank branch at this time on this day. It will be done. Out of that 50 million, 10 million is yours. The other 40 million, we will tell you where it is to be sent and to whom. There is your rabbit trail. And this is where some of your money is coming for Love Jihad. Plus other anti-Indian activities. Now, I know you think, how can this be? Well, if you remember, not so long ago, an organization called the Popular Front of India, PFI, was banned. You know, this particular organization was so widespread. In certain states, it had branches or distribution branches in every district. Now you understand how well spread out it was and how easy it was to disperse all this money. Not just for Love Jihad, it's for all other activities, like land grab. Land grab is not difficult. All they do is they put up a grave-like thing and say, this is Waqf Board land. I mean, it happens all over Delhi, you can see it. And this is just one. And we have to get prepared and take collective action. Whether we like it or not, we have to. For instance, they all demanded halal and halal certification. And they seem to be getting away with it. All eateries throughout Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala, and possibly in Andhra and Telangana also, must have this halal certification. Otherwise nobody will go there to eat, or Muslims won't. And they seem to be chock-a-block full. Until there's a case in Tamil Nadu, High Court, where it was claimed that a Muslim chef, before he sends a dish out to a customer in a hotel or restaurant or what have you, he spits in it. If he doesn't, it is not halal. The moment this came out, everybody just boycotted all these eateries. Wherever it says halal, nobody goes there. 2 days later, all those certificates came down. So where is all this insistence on halal certification being an essential for Muslims to eat there, or Muslims to get anything from them? Then if you remember around Alwar in Rajasthan, a big hue and cry against Nupur Sharma and all her followers and all those who cared for her and so on. And they said, we will ban all Hindu shops and won't buy anything from Hindu shops. Well, the Alwar Dargah and all Muslim shops remained empty. Nobody went there. They forgot a lot of their shopping was done by Hindus and non-Muslims. So they shot themselves through their own foot in both halal and this. Now, I've been a secular sort of person most of my life. But when I see these agitations, that Muslims say, we must have hijab, we must have this halal certificate, this, that and the other, it makes me feel a little, not a little, but very sad. when we start hearing things about love, jihad, and all these other protests that come along, why are they upsetting the apple cart? When people live peacefully and in harmony for so many years and decades, why do you want to mess it up now? Now we have a gentleman in Assam, a Lok Sabha sitting MP, who says, he's also the top man in the AIUDF, and he said, Hindus, I would advise you to adopt the Muslim marriage code. I mean, he might just as well have said Hindus become Islamic or become Muslims, because that is what he's trying to do. My request or my answer to that is, the gentleman is what? I think his name is Mr. Badruddin Ajmal. Mr. Ajmal, why don't you advise all Muslims to become Hindus? Okay? Now, coming back to love jihad, what is it doing? It is breaking up Hindu families. It is creating numerous tensions between Muslims and Hindus. Whatever harmony or chance for harmony that existed are shattered. You can't expect harmony anymore. And it brings out a very, very urgent need, something which we cannot get away from. We have to go in for. We've heard a lot about it. It's something I've said for over 50 years. I'll say it again today. What we need urgently, immediately, is a uniform civil code. A uniform civil code simply means everybody comes under its ambit. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddha, Sikh. It doesn't matter if you're from outer Mongolia or from which archipelago, the Falkland Islands or anywhere else. If you're an Indian citizen, you come under its ambit and you live according to that civil code. No, otherwise what happens? We have a Hindu civil code and yet it doesn't apply to Muslims, which means we have two sets of laws, two parallel civil codes in the same country. How can you allow this? This, you can call it heresy if you like, or any other name. It just should not be. You have to have one civil code. As Mr. Kushres said, when a Muslim is caught thieving, according to Shariat law, his hand should be cut off. But he won't take that. No. He will choose the Indian penal code, where he probably goes to prison for 6 months and that's it. But for a whole lot of other things, he wants Shariat law for marriages and divorces. I'm sorry, this is not possible. You have one or the other. And in this country, one civil code is necessary. And it's not all that difficult. We have a Hindu civil code, tweak it a little. Wherever the word Hindu appears, change that to Indian. End of story. And you have a uniform civil code. It applies to everybody. No other excuses, no other law. Only that one. Everybody comes under it. And because it's in the Constitution, every state has to observe it and obey it. It's not a question of this state will allow it and this state will not adopt it. Everyone has to adopt it. Let's get that straight. And until this happens, we're going to remain a fragmented society. and people like Mr. Ajmal will have free rein to say and do anything. Now, what this is doing to us is dividing us and continuously makes us go on thinking about Hindus and Muslims. Now, look, we have to progress, we have to develop. We can't do that as long as we're stuck in this constant fight between one another or interfighting in between. We can't progress as long as that continues. Whether you're Muslim, Hindu, Christian or Sikh or anybody else, it's about time we got this message through. Let's please behave ourselves and come together. Otherwise, there's not much point calling this India of ours a secular country. Secular means all of us have to live together. Like it or not, you don't like it, go somewhere else. If you want Shariat law, there are 57 other countries, 56. North Sudan has simply outlawed Islam recently. There are 56 other Islamic countries where the Shariat law is in force. Please go there. This is India, it's a secular country, and it has one law, or it should have only one law, and one civil code, one penal system, that's it. Or one penal code, one civil code. There is no third alternative. Let's get that through and get that discipline into us. You want to convert, please go somewhere else. You want to convert everybody into Islam? I'm sorry, that's not on. You want to live here? Look, Hinduism is very broad-minded that way. It simply says, look, this is our way. We find succor in this. We're happy with it. It gives us peace of mind and everything else. All that we want. You want to join us? Please. We'll make room for you here. You don't want to join us? Please worship in your own way there. Who knows? Your way may also be right. As right as ours. Please remember, our Ishwar or God may also be your Allah. And your Allah may also be our God. So please, we don't impinge on your right. Leave our rights alone to us. And please leave this love jihad stupidity out. Leave communities alone, stop impinging, and stop bringing in these illegal migrants from all over the place. We don't need them. They are creating a problem, a big unemployment problem. We don't need it, and we don't need them. And also, please, what Mr. Ajmal advocates, Muslim code or Muslim marriage laws and so on. Get married early, produce a whole lot of children. It's taken us 4 or 5 generations and 70 odd years to get Hindus and others out of that frame of mind. To wait a while, learn, get qualified, get a job, settle down and then get married, produce your families to 1, 2, maybe occasionally a third child, but not at the age of 15 and 16 and 17 or 20, when you don't know what it's all about. You have no idea. So who's going to look after them? And please don't say, Allah gives everybody. He doesn't. If you say that, I have a very good formula for that to prove it. Okay? You want children? Okay. Leave your girls alone. Nobody must come near her. Let's see what Allah gives her. He can't. Let's be quite honest. So please, let us not hear this again. Let's get over all this. Let's come of age, shall we say. Let's grow up. Let's cut out all this stupid thirst for power and trying to be leaders without knowing what leadership is all about. Without knowing the first thing about leadership, you all want to be leaders. Now, the most unfortunate part is, it is a quote from Sadhguru himself, who said, if you want to be a leader, don't do anything good. Disrupt everything, create problems. The more problems you create, the bigger the leader you become. Which is a very unfortunate statement of his, because everybody seems to be following that and disrupting everything. Please don't disrupt, help build this country of ours. We have finally a leader who is permitting us to do this, who is taking us forward. Don't drag him back. Don't be like that basket full of Indian crabs. If one looks like going out, the others pull him back inside. Please do not be like that. Let's grow up. Whether you're Muslims, Hindus, Christians, or anybody else. Please. And please, let's get together and put this uniform civil code into operation immediately. The sooner the better. Thank you, folks. I know it sounds like an idiot wandering around, but please believe me, if you think about what I've said today, there's a lot more in it than meets the eye. If you like, please press that like button. Disseminate, share with your friends, your relatives, and your groups, and ask them to send it on to their other groups. Because I think this is something we should all think about very carefully and very closely. We have to look after our own children. We can't expect, the mobile and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook to do that for us. It's about time we all grew up. Every man jack, one of us. Because without that, we're all going backwards, which is not what we want. Okay, folks. Ciao.